Happy New Year, everybody. Well, not quite yet, but we're almost there.
That was me blowing one of them little thank you things. Celebration. Happy New Year.
Okay. This is Down and Down, a rabbit hole podcast where we
Talking
talk
about
about
blowing and going down and down.
random topics. This is the most unhinged intro.
I
We're gonna
promise
talk
we haven't
about-
been drinking champagne.
We're going to talk about our friendship. Let's get into it.
Down and down the rabbit hole. Just how deep does it go? Where it stops, nobody knows. So let's go down the rabbit hole. Down and down the rabbit hole. Down and down the rabbit hole.
So the way that Jack and I met, we were boyfriends. Our friend introduced us, and we just realized
He left
We're-
with my antlers.
and it was Jack that helped me realize that the actual material on the antlers is the most sensitive part of the jackalope's
That's right.
body.
That's right.
So there was a lot of just mishaps that happened in the early days.
Buck
of our
really loves for me
relationship.
to. Buck really loves me. He always loved for me to play with that little bent ear of his.
Yeah, it actually may be a little bit more bent because of
The truth.
I don't know if you guys could tell that none of that is true. We're actually family.
If they've been listening long enough, they know.
Yeah, we are cousins.
We are.
Our moms are first cousins, which makes us some weird something. I think did we officially decide it was third cousins that we are?
We are second cousins.
See, I don't even know. How does all that work?
Okay.
We're cousins.
So our moms are first cousins. Me and your mom are first cousins once removed. You and my mom are first cousins once removed. You and I are second cousins.
Yeah, because there's no removals.
So, and you and my children, so you and Coney, you and Bunny, you and Arlie, you would all be second cousins once removed.
Hmm.
So we,
What does that make you to my daughter?
the same?
However, my daughter is adopted.
But it's the same situation.
Oh, that's true. Oh, for people who don't know, my daughter was a family adoption. We just had a scenario where really close relative couldn't raise a child, and we wanted to keep that child in the family, so we kind of did that.
So this is our grandfathers
Mm-hmm.
were brothers. Actually, mine was the oldest
Mm-hmm.
brother of like 8, and yours was the second oldest
Yeah.
of like 8 siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And they grew up.
Here's a photo of them
Yes,
as rabbits.
there's our rabbit papas.
Yeah, rabbit papa.
So this was the Kroll family, which is our mothers. It's their maiden names. And yes, so our grandfathers, for the oldest 2 of 8, grew up and they were best friends,
Best friends.
supposedly. This is the story we've been fed. But which is funny because my mother has told me that some of the sisters told her, so her aunts
Mhm.
told her that my grandfather used to date your grandmother,
Yeah.
and then he went off
To war.
into war, and your grandfather started
Like,
dating
hey,
her
girl,
and got
you my
married
brother's
to her.
girl? Not no more.
And apparently, like he was like, really mad for her.
My
Crazy about it.
grandfather was a bit of a womanizer.
They were neither one great guys.
No. he liked the women. He hit on my cousin one time because he didn't realize she was
Family.
family. He
Our cousin.
actually closer, more closely,
More my
like a
cousin than
closer
yours. Closer,
cousin to
yeah.
you. That's wild. And the way
She's
that,
my first cousin.
and this is something I recently found out, by the way. My mom was like, "Yeah, he hit on your cousin." Then the cousin was like, "You don't know who I am, do you?" And then he's like, "No, who are you?" And she's like, "I'm so and so's daughter." And my grandfather apparently responds with, "Oh, well, you sure are pretty."
Which is weird.
Is it not? It's not weird.
That when she
There's
said
nothing weird about that.
so when she said I'm so and so's daughter, that so and so is my
well,
aunt.
your great niece. Your great niece.
Yeah, my so and so is my aunt. That she said. That she's
So
her.
funny thing about this side of our grandparents, while you're close to that side of your family, we neither one were close to these grandfathers. Well, yours was dead.
Mine was dead before I ever came along.
Yeah, and then your grandmother that was married to him died like when you're really young.
I was 3.
I did not really have a relationship with my mom's dad. Not really sure why. I think it was just because he lived a little bit of a rougher life, not like drugs or anything like that, but
That we know of.
I know alcohol was a thing, and
Alcohol was a big thing for both of them.
yeah, well, they were moonshiners, so
They were
I would
moonshiners.
imagine it was.
Your grandfather made moonshine, and my grandfather ran moonshine. And if you don't know what that means, it means he's the one who
One
carried
brewed
it.
it, and one carried
But
it.
I don't
yeah.
think they worked together, which is weird to me. But one would carry it. He'd carry it across the state lines or get it to wherever it needs to be. And he would put his kids in the car with him
sympathy.
so that the cops didn't think that somebody would run it with their kids in there and they wouldn't stop him. So that's the line we come
You know what that
from.
reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of when we worked in a clothing store. Moms would come in there and they'd shove clothes behind their kid in their strollers.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to. So when you were talking about your grandfather hitting on our cousin, that cousin's brother is not far off,
Ew.
and he hit on some young girls that we were working with when he
Tried
was
to get
well
me to
into his
hook him
30s.
up with a 17-year-old coworker.
Yeah, we were in our teens. He was already in his 30s, and he was hitting on these
Gross.
teenage
So
girls.
gross.
But so they were best friends. They and they did. He came. So when my grandfather came back, he married my grandmother. I think that yours might have already been married at that point. I'm not 100% sure. But that is the story that my mom was told by her aunts. But she said, I don't know if that's true or not. That's what his sisters told me. But they liked your grandmother. They didn't really like Mama, is what she was saying. So my grandmother. And so you can say what your mama said about that.
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. You told me not long ago. It wasn't hard.
Which thing?
So apparently my grandmother was a very blunt woman.
Yeah.
And my grandfather at one point, he was known to come home on a drunk and he'd get violent physically. And the kids would take turns fighting back for my grandmother. He would come trying to hit her and they would stand up to him. Apparently until it was my mother's turn, who apparently started crying and said, "Why you always got to do this?" And then he went to bed, which is not if you know my mother now, that does not sound like my mama.
No. Your mama, hard woman.
Well, you look at my aunts. I mean,
They all hard women.
but so knowing that about my grandmother makes sense because it has come down the line to where I'm a rather blunt person. So moving down the line a little bit, both of them technically had, well, okay. My grandparents had technically 8 children, but one died very early on. And so they had 7 kids.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was right smack dab in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of them. Over on your side, yours together had also 8, but a set of twins both died.
And they died, yeah.
And they died young.
Mhm.
And so they raised 6.
Yep.
And your mom was the only girl
Yep.
in that family. Now, your
So
grandfather
she was
also,
the only slave in the family.
she was treated as such.
Yeah. Because my loved my grandmother to death. But she believed that women should wait on men hand and foot. So my mom always had to do stuff for her brothers before she could do anything, which apparently really pissed your mom off.
Yeah,
because they'd be wanting to do, because our moms were best friends, which ultimately kind of leads to how, like, that's the next step, really. Like,
yeah. So the grandfathers were best friends, and then the moms were best friends.
Which is interesting because our mom's age gap is pretty large. It's at least 5 years.
It's not quite
Because
5.
Your mom is the youngest of our parents, isn't she?
Your
She
dad
just
is.
just a little bit older than my dad. My mom's a gold. I mean, is a not gold digger, a cradle robber.
My mom is 2 years younger than my dad. My dad is just younger than your mom.
Yeah.
So they're about 2 years apart.
Yeah, something
maybe
like that.
3.
My dad and mom are 5 years apart. And
That all said, the aunt that we've already mentioned, I've been told that she was maybe a little bit jealous of our moms being so close because she was actually closer to your mom's age.
yeah, and my mom and that aunt also worked together.
Yeah.
They
did.
a very long time. And so I don't know if the jealousy was towards your mom about my mom or towards my mom about your mom, or both. Could have been both.
And then again, I don't even know. I think it was just maybe the friendship that they had, but
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is either. This is all,
I mean,
hearsay.
you have to take everything with a grain of salt. But so yeah, because my mom would have to make my uncle's dinner or something like that before she could do anything, that meant that Jack's mom was always waiting around on my mom to do her chores. And
No, she said she would come in and help her to try to get them done.
well, you know what I mean,
But,
like
yeah, so
waiting to be able to do this. I wouldn't mean
Right.
like
She was like, she'd always say that your grandmother would be like, you have to get all your chores done while the boys were out playing. And she said,
Yeah.
I'd run in there and I'd help her make all them beds and breakfast and everything.
Isn't it ridiculous that a sister had to make her brother's beds? That's pretty ridiculous. But I'm not even a feminist, man, and I still think it's crazy. But anyway, so our moms were best friends a long time. By the way, during an era where, hey, you could just go to your friend's school and that would count.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Like, my mom told me stories about how your mom would spend the night with her, or it'd be the other way around, and they would just go to each other's school. They didn't go to the same school, and it just counted. That's crazy.
That would not work today.
No, but so they grow up. My dad is friends with my mom's brothers, my uncles, and that's kind of how they end up meeting each other, get married. I don't know how your parents.
Well, so funny about your parents. I remember your mom telling the story about her getting on the bus for school, and she sees this little fat kid getting on, and
fat.
she ends up marrying him all these years later. But my parents met. Dad was hanging out with his brother, and so they were hanging out together, And back then everybody had souped up cars and everything.
Yeah.
And Dad had like a Mustang or something, or I know Mom had a Roadrunner. Anyway, and they would like drive around. They would drive around and drive the strip is what it was called, and show off these cars. And so my mom and your mom were riding together, and they saw them. Well, I think this was during the time when my dad was in the Army, and when he comes back, my uncle who was with him was like, "Hey, you remember those two girls we saw last time?" Because they had like hit on them, and he was like, essentially setting my mom up with him, because apparently my uncle and your mom went on some dates.
Oh
together.
Yeah,
For a little bit,
that did
yeah.
happen.
So that's kind of how my parents got together, and through that, our dads
Yeah.
became best friends.
Here's a picture of what our dads look like.
Yeah.
Can you guess whose is whose? My dad is a big man.
He is a big man.
Not a fat man. He grew
And
out
my
of the
dad-
fatness.
And my dad is always a very jovial man.
hmm
My oldest son, Coney, is always like, Papa's always smiling. He'll just be listening to you tell a story and just smiling.
Yep. He is a smiling person. He's also one of the nicest people, like that you'll meet. Like obviously he's got the sternness of a parent to his kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he's generally a very easygoing, nice guy.
Yeah, as an adult, I'm able to see him more through other people's eyes, because I always saw him as his child's eyes.
Yeah.
And I even asked Coney, I was like, so do you think I smile like that? And he was like, yeah, because other people see me as very smiley. But I never really thought that much about it growing up. Now I look at my dad and I'm like, he does smile all the time. And he is genuinely a nice guy. But
so
which he has to be with my mom.
gotta balance that. Gotta balance her out.
I love my mama, but she's a sharp-tongued, quick-witted, and very just abrupt sometimes.
Yeah.
Which I get that from her. I'm a mix of the two.
My mom is a very sensitive, mama bear type person. She wears her emotions on her sleeve, but she is extremely protective of her kids and stuff like that. And she's also a bit of a Karen. I love her, but she is a bit of a Karen. I have told her this. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the words, "Let me speak with your manager," has come out of her. Like they have come out of her mouth. I'm pretty positive about it. And
you know I love your mama.
Lord forbid we be in a restaurant.
That's what I was gonna say.
And
I used to be so embarrassed sometimes to go eat.
I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing like if you get an order and they've like totally smothered your food in a sauce that you hate or something like that. It's another thing where it's like, oh, they put a little bit of lettuce on your sandwich and you can just scrape it off.
Yeah.
And she tries to send it back for you.
Yeah, bless.
That happened. Now, as a kid, when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, do that. Because kid.
You didn't know.
But she tried to do it into my teen years, and I was like, nah, I can handle it. She also tried to order my food in my teen years, by the way.
I'm not too surprised.
But and my dad he is the guy on the brawny towels.
Mm-hmm.
He is like when you think of an outdoorsman, what an outdoorsman looks like my dad looks like that. And So, and that's exactly what he is. He does not like sports. He loves hunting. He loves fishing. He loves just being outside.
Although I've never seen him in plaid.
He used to wear a blue and black plaid shirt.
That's
when I was
true.
a
Okay,
kid.
that's true. I do remember that.
But he never wore the red and black. But it was the blue version of that shirt.
So I remember that now that you say that. But it's also so both of our dads are very outdoorsmen, fishers, hunters, campers. My dad is the one who actually took your dad on his first hunting trip.
Mm-hmm.
And they laugh about it now because they talk about how cold it was. And of course, my dad had been hunting his whole life. His father, my other grandfather, Cotton, had trained him how to hunt. And so here he is all bundled up and ready for it. And your dad is out there in jeans and tennis shoes. So he went out and bought him some.
Now, my dad was fishing long before all that. Like, he's fishing since he was a kid, but I think that's a pretty normal kid thing to do back in that era in the boomer generation. And like, but
because of that, we were raised that way.
Yeah. And so our dads essentially became best friends through our moms.
Yeah.
They have some crazy stories too, but we won't get into that. There's too many.
That's
of
their
them.
stories. And so from that, both of those sets of parents have 2 children. I have an older brother. Buck has an older sister, and they
never really clicked with each other.
Not really.
There was a bit of an age difference between the 2 of them too.
I think there may be
like a 3-year
4,
age
something like that. Yeah.
difference.
And one is a guy, one is a girl. There is a little bit of an age difference, and I mean, I think that they maybe played together a little bit when they were very young.
Whenever our parents would go over at each other's houses.
But as that shifted, they just went in completely different directions. But Buck and I, there was a time when we thought we might go in different directions.
Yeah. We're also a lot closer in age, though. Like,
yeah, we are.
Which is why I think we stayed friends longer.
So we're 11 months apart. We should be exactly 1 year apart because my birthday was supposed to be technically on my brother's birthday. I was due in December of '86, which my brother was a few years older than that, but his birthday's in December. Buck was due in December of the following year. I waited 3 weeks and had my birthday in January, and he came a little bit early and had his in November.
Yeah, very last day. Which, funny thing, I only hear this story from you, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I asked my mom about it.
I've heard a lot.
And she's like, I don't remember that. So, but also she's in her 70s. So,
yeah.
Who knows?
I don't think it was that much of a big come early thing. It wasn't like you were preemie or anything.
Yeah. I think I was supposed to be born on my dad's birthday.
That would have been weird if I was born on my brother's birthday and you were born on your dad's birthday, and both of those would be in December.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I think that's one thing she did tell me, which would have been 2 days after my birthday.
Yeah.
So I was a few days early, but so yeah, so that's ultimately why Jack and I are so close, and our parents were always doing stuff growing up, like
because our parents were best friends.
Yeah, and we were always at each other's houses at least once or twice a month on a Friday or Saturday, sometimes more than that. And I remember, it's so funny. There's a video. I don't know if you've seen this video, but there's a home video that we used to have. You and I were crawling. We're still crawling. And we It's in that first house that I was in. Obviously, I was less than a year old, and we're playing in a cardboard box full of like cloth. And for some reason, I always thought this was weird. And I guess like as an adult, it's not as weird, but we were two little boys, and our parents, like, you crawled over to the box, and our parents like, give each other sugar,
I've heard
give
this
each other
story.
sugar, and we kiss each other on the mouth. And as a kid, I was
First
like,
of many.
that. As a kid, I was like, that's such a weird thing. I know we were babies, but it's such a weird thing. I always thought that growing up. Like, why do we kiss each other on the mouth?
I don't know. I've
But,
heard about that. I think I've maybe seen it once.
But and then there was another clip of us. I don't know. It was cute. We were crawling up the hallway, just side by side, crawling up the hallway. But yeah. So when we grow up, we're friends, and we're really close friends as kids. However, Jack had a friend that did not like me.
Yeah.
And this friend was, at the time, the friend that Jack considered to be his best friend.
Yeah.
And that caused us to not like. I think that was a big cause for rifts when we were kids. I think I considered you my best friend at the time, but I don't think you.
So when we were really
we felt
little,
as
like
close.
when we were really young, then you used to look up to me. I think a lot, because I remember that being a topic of like, I think your mom didn't like that. And I remember one time I ordered something, and you were like, well, I don't, and it was something you didn't like because you were a lot pickier of a kid, and you're like, well, I don't have to be just like him. And I remember thinking, why does he want to be like me? Why? I didn't understand that. Of course, that's a lot different now.
Yeah.
But that kid did not like you. His grandmother lived behind me, and I would climb over the fence every week.
By the way, I had only met the kid one time.
Really?
I went to his house maybe once or twice your entire friendship with him.
I usually had to come home, and I think that's partially why he may have not liked you.
Because you're hanging out with him while he was at his grandma's house.
Yeah, which looking back now, I can understand that, but
But
he was also just kind of a douche. So
I was also an awkward kid though. So like
you were. He said something about you. I remember him making fun of you because you ran home crying or something, ran back crying, and I don't remember what the whole situation was, but I remember he'd been like, "Is he something about him crying?" And I'd be like, one time he said something like, "Well, is Buck still crying?" I was like, "No, he's actually learned to use his words." I don't even remember the situation, but I know that I took up for you. So
interesting. Well, he was a year older than you, wasn't he?
yeah, he was a jerk,
So-
and
So I mean, like at the time, I mean that's a pretty big difference.
yeah, I
your gap.
I ended up ending mine and his friendship in like fourth or fifth grade, or in the summer between the two, because he made fun of me in front of another friend of his, whose mother had just dropped him off there. Like they had not planned for that kid to come over, but it was a weird thing, and he kind of made fun of me in front of him, and I was like, well, and I went home, and I never went back, and they kept calling and calling for me to come back, and I was like, that's okay. So,
But so yeah,
and he's dead now.
oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's so weird.
It is very weird.
But so that I don't know if it was so much that I looked up to you as much as I think it was just I wanted you to like me, like, and I wanted to impress you, if that makes sense.
Well, I like
Because-
playing with you.
No. So when I was a kid, I had friends, but the only friends that I like had that I was close to, I didn't go to school with or anything like that. And I was kind of the butt into the joke in the friend group at school. And because, again, I was an awkward kid. And so I think that kind of had a lot to do with it. And the other two kids that I was close to, I was kind of more of the one in your position for those other two kids, if that makes sense. So I think I've just valued your opinion on things, which would be why I'd be like, right, Jack, right? Like I'd say something and I wanted you to validate that.
Right, Jack, right.
I think I thought you were cooler than me. And I mean, little did I know. But
that I was.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. So yeah, and to the point of there, some of the other friends that I had, when we were together, you and I would kind of gang up on them sometimes, not in a good way. Like, I mean, obviously, how could that be in a good way?
Patch.
Yeah, Patch. You didn't like one of my hyper friends.
I didn't.
And that was a point of contention between you and I, for a while. And because I wasn't gonna stop being friends with that guy. Still friends with that guy, but
I didn't necessarily want you to not be friends with him. I just didn't want you to invite him to your birthday.
right, which was a bit. I mean, that was a big deal.
So this kid needed a lot of attention.
Well, he had ADHD, severe ADHD.
He did.
He was on Ritalin, and
that didn't even seem like it was phasing him. Because
who knows if he took it correctly.
Well, all I knew was I couldn't even put it into words, I don't think, at the time. But looking at it now, I think a lot of it was there was this group of kids and we're all trying to hang out and he needed everybody's attention and he needed your attention and it was your birthday and it felt like he was trying to steal your attention. And I
was trying to steal my sister's attention.
Well,
he had a crush on my sister.
I mean like the attention that you should be getting for your birthday, because he always had to be talking over something, blowing out candles. He talking,
Oh yeah. I think I was so used to how he was that none of that bothered me. And
sure. And I think that's true, but I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And so I think maybe there was a protective part of me in that was like, mm-hmm. This is his birthday. Shut up, sit down, shut up and do what you're supposed to do. Because best believe, had I been that kid, my mama would have sat me down.
Yeah.
And put me in my place. And so I think maybe I thought this kid ain't raised right, but I wouldn't have known how to say that at that time.
Well, also at the time when we were that age, we didn't know what ADHD was. Mm-hmm. Little did we know Jack may have it, but not
have it. I just
not in the same way. You were never a hyper kid.
No, I have more. I have ADD. It's an attention. They've got them put up together now, but really. ADD and ADHD are very different.
They were separated then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And even I mean, I have a lot of energy, but not to that degree. Like I sit and move all the time.
You channel energy. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So there were times in our childhood. I remember there was a particular year you and I don't know why we were having such issues, but we were arguing a lot, and we had a big argument outside of karate and my dad's truck.
It was because you wanted to bring that kid camping with us.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So we went with our family, our dads.
Well, Patch came camping, too.
And Patch came. Patch never bothered me because Patch was family. And we got along with him. He was quiet. So Patch,
he was actually much more of a troublemaker than the other one ever was.
Yeah, but less loud and
as a kid, you don't really think
irritating. Patch is Buck's first cousin.
Mm-hmm.
But so he'd be
One of my uncles, my mom's brother's kids.
yeah. So he's my second cousin.
Just same as us.
Same as you. But I wasn't as close with him, but I really got to know him through being around your family all the time because his dad would come and drop him off and whatever. And your dad would include him a lot. I never had a problem with Patch. But it was, so we were planning a family camping trip. It was usually your dad, my brother, and me, and then you, and then usually Patch.
Mm-hmm.
But then you were like, I want to invite him. And I was like, why? Why are you inviting him? Why are you inviting him? Well, and I remember specifically you looking out the window and I'm trying to talk to you and you were ignoring me.
Well, I was mad at you.
You were. And I was just trying to talk because I was like, why are you bringing extra people? I'm not bringing extra people. This is our thing. And Buck gets mad and he's looking out the window and I'm like, he would not look at me. And so I grabbed his face to make him look at me.
It made me so mad. And
I hate to be ignored. That's one of my big pet
I wasn't ignoring you. I was done with the conversation. I was also a lot different when it came to controversy and conflict back then. And yeah, we didn't go on that camping trip, I don't think, did we?
I don't think so.
And
I don't think we did because then your mother got involved and called my mom, and then we didn't hang out for a little while.
Yeah.
Like not just us, but like our parents didn't.
Mm-hmm. And which
I remember Dad just being like, "If you leave kids alone, they'll fix their own problems."
That's exactly what I was about to say. We'd have gotten over it at some point, but I think there was also at that point in my life, I think I was probably in 4th grade when that happened. And I think the reason I was probably getting that way is because I was coming out of that whole I need Jack's affirmation thing. And that time all the way through middle school, our relationship was strained. We were friends. Yeah. We got over that.
And I will say on my end, because I did feel like he needed attention and he was always trying, like he did steal your attention. It was your birthday, but also he was trying to get your attention, meaning the rest of us had to fight to get attention because he would run up and talk over everybody. So I hated for him to be around. Now, I know he's grown up a lot. I don't really know him much, but
he's married now. He just got married. He eloped.
Yeah, I think I saw that. But at that time, that was a thing. I felt like I was like, we are best friends, and I felt like I was going to have to, on this trip that was our family, I was going to have to like fight for your attention or fight to be heard.
It was funny though because like even though I think it was drifting away from that.
Not saying I should have grabbed your face, I should have punched it, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I should have punched you too. We just didn't. We should have just fought and then got over it. That's what should have happened. But
it was outside of karate.
Mm-hmm. But so I think if we could have handled it ourselves. That was a trend that my mom would continue to try to do in issues in my life to the point to where I just would stop telling her things that go on in my life. And she started griping about it. It wasn't until I was an adult that I told her why. But so that all happened. I start becoming like less of the awkward kid in middle school. Especially like towards the end of middle school. I kind of start becoming like one of the popular kids like at that point. And I think one reason for that was I I always kind of tried to befriend the popular kid in my class. And because I
It's
wanted
funny,
to
I
be
was
their
the
friend.
opposite.
Yeah. I don't know why I was drawn to that, but it's not that I was like, oh, this is the popular person, but looking back on it, that was kind of the thing that ended up happening. I remember the first bully I had, we didn't even have a group of friends, and I tried to befriend, like I was kind of like befriending him before we even had a friend group. And then I was I was one that he liked to pick on. And then the next one I had, I was the first kid that talked to him. And he and I ended up, he was way worse. He was a super douche. Um, and whenever he moved away, I became more of one of the popular kids. And
See, I
so
was different. I was completely different. I always tried to befriend the new kids or the weird kids. And I did. And I remember one girl in middle school being like, you know, Jack, you could be really popular if you just hung out with the popular people. If you just hung out with the right people. And I didn't like any of them because I thought they were jerks.
yeah,
And she
I
was
think that
obviously part of it. But
I think that's kind of part of it for me too. Like I always wanted to be the good kid, and I kind of valued that a lot. Um, and whenever you're kind of throwing that in the face of all these other just normal boys that are just wanting to have fun, it kind of makes you seem a bit like I guess a loser. I don't know. I don't think that's what it was, but um, I still have this thing where I'm the person that tries to take the moral high ground a lot of times, and I think that was a lot more unchecked back then. But so I start getting heavily, heavily, heavily into music at the tail end of middle school. And Jack starts getting into theater more so. And we're just starting to do less things together. Our parents are still doing stuff, and we're still seeing each other pretty regularly, and we're having fun with each other, and we're not really like having problems. But we just kind of ended up drifting.
yeah.
I ended up being friends with a couple of wild guys that I was in a band with, and they definitely had an influence on me. It wasn't that much, but they did have an influence on me. I wasn't like, they were big partiers. I never cared about that. I never cared about having a bunch of alcohol and going, like, I went to one of the things one time, and I was like, this isn't for me.
So that's during this in my. This is during the same time in my life where we're having a shift because I was becoming the like that girl said you could be in the popular crowd if you wanted, but I didn't like any of them, and I was like considered the Jesus freak. I was the holy roller of the I was the little Jesus kid who wore Jesus shirts, and I got made fun of a lot during that time, and so. I kind of valued our friendship, but you had kind of gone off into this other way. And like, I
I
remember
surrounded myself with a bunch of kids who weren't like that.
and so I remember coming to your house, and you and both of them were standing outside. We pulled up because our parents were hanging out, and I rode with them, and you were hanging outside with them. One of them was standing on a skateboard or something, I think. And I was just like, well, they were like, you were like, hey, and I was like, hey, and I just kept walking.
Yep.
And went straight inside.
I remember exactly that moment. What's funny is because you ended up being friends with one of them,
Yeah. I
Um,
never really met the other.
yeah. Well, the other one, my dad hated the other one. And he was the worst influence of the two. Like, or at least I don't want to even say influence because he didn't really influence me. Because things that I had gotten to at that point, really the only real issue I had at that point was bad language, like really bad language. And I remember that was a decision I made in like sixth grade. I remember the moment I was like, I'm just gonna let myself start talking this way, and and kind of spewing out like sexual jokes all the time and that kind of thing. And so really that was pretty much it. I I wasn't sleeping around with girls or anything like that. I only had at this point one girlfriend that I mean
I'm
we
thinking about that time you sent picture
oh yeah
with the
that did
guitar.
happen. That did happen. I was bad to do stuff online, and one time
This was the early.
we're
This
just
was
gonna we're just
AOL.
gonna yeah, this was back when AIM and AOL were a thing.
You've got
And
Mal.
I was very much into pop punk, still love pop punk. But that was the kind of band we were in. So
Funny
we kind
because
of
this is just a few years
idolized.
after we were really into Beanie Babies.
Yes. Yeah. But
We thought we were cool all of a
let's
sudden.
face it. Dudes were never really supposed to be into Beanie Babies.
No, they weren't. But
Not kids
Some
our age.
were. No, some were. I mean, this is kind of dependent. But we found them. We found them on a trip
Shop
to
at Home Network.
Well, we did see them on Shop at Home Network, but I think the first time we really ever saw them in person maybe was when we went to Stone Mountain. And
I had already had one.
did you?
My
I remember
aunt,
what I
my
remember
great
always
aunt
being.
had gotten me one for some reason.
I remember seeing them. I may have had some then, but I remember that trip, and I remember you getting Dippin' Dots.
Love Dippin' Dots.
I don't know that I
Too
knew what
expensive.
Dippin' Dots was at that point.
They have a different version of it now.
But I remember that you got them, and I was like, "What is that?"
Always
But
made mom get me some in the mall.
yeah, I didn't. There was no making my mama get me nothing. My mom was like, "You don't need that."
Well, let's face
But,
it, your mom's a reason you couldn't open up the unopened Pop-Tart box.
Yeah. I mean, my mom's tight.
Also-
Your dad's tight,
My dad is very tight.
but
But my mom wasn't. So
no, my dad's not. But my dad was also not the one controlling
Yeah.
the money either. But
anyway,
back on topic. So you were in the pop punk.
and we kind of idolized Blink-182. If you're a millennial, you probably remember when Blink-182 first started
When
getting
he says
really popular.
he does not include. He's not including me. He means his
The band, yeah. And I took a picture on a webcam. If anybody remembers those webcams, like the ones that just look like a ball that you put on the top of your computer,
a little lens on it.
I was just in a backwards hat and a guitar, and that was it.
And
And
it made its way around school.
Jack, I'm telling you, I sent that to a couple of girls, that kept it secret before it cycled around school by one girl that asked for it particularly. And they never shared that they had it. And as a matter of fact, one of them was dating my friend at the time. And she asked for it. Actually, I actually took it for her. Because for some reason I was into her and we would talk online all the time. And
I didn't have internet at home at that point, so I remember coming over to your house was a big deal
You
because
were-
I got
yeah.
to use.
which is funny because it's not like we were rich or anything like that. We just had the internet. But
Hey, back then that was considered rich.
it was
That was
not.
a big deal. That was a big deal.
We had our computer
still
was on
new.
the kitchen counter.
well, a lot of people's were.
You remember that there's a picture we had of you on that computer, look like in the kitchen, sitting on the stool. But
Not by the time you took that picture, though.
huh?
It wasn't there when you took that picture.
Yeah, you were. Yeah,
No, the picture of you.
Oh, no. This was in
That
a
was
bedroom.
moved. Yeah.
This is a different computer entirely. But so sent it that this one girl, and then another one was like, "Hey, let's send pictures of each other." Which we're going to school together. Like we're in ninth grade. We're going to school together. We see each other all the time. We're in classes with each other. And I'm like, why are we asking each other for pictures? Like, tell me why we're asking each other for pictures. And so I sent her a few pictures. She's like, do you got any more? And I'm like, well, I've got one, but it's a bad picture. And she's like, well, I don't mind if it's bad. It's fine. I said, no, you don't understand. It's a dirty picture. and she's like, I still want to see it. And then I send it. And the next day, everybody knows about it. Everybody knows about it. And that night, a girl messages me that I've gone to school with my entire life. And she's like, I want to see the picture. And I'm like, I don't want to send you the picture. She's like, okay. And she sends me a bikini picture of her. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I sent her the picture, and then like a year later, I find out that it had circulated through the school. Nobody told me. But
anyway, so this is all during that time. We kind of went down a wrong rabbit.
That was the worst thing I ever did.
But we he's in his band.
Playgirl photo of me circulated.
He's in his band and he's there. I had started getting into theater now, which is funny because I think I tried to get you into music at one point and you thought it was for girls. Do you remember this?
I don't remember that.
Because I started singing in church at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing all that, but I remember, I think you thought it was just like, I don't remember. I remember you being like, no, that's for girls. And I was like, no,
well, keep in mind, up until this point, I had no confidence in my musical ability at all. I didn't even think I could sing. I don't know if you remember, this was a big thing. Like, and then you and I at one point had a scenario with Patch to where I was like, I think I can sing. And I sang in front of you guys. Patch laughed at me, and I put him in a chokehold and hurt him. Do you remember that?
No.
And I was mad because I was embarrassed. And it's funny because I could sing, but I tried to sing very pop.
You tried to sing like they sang, like the bands you liked sing. And
so drastically different than.
But you can still hear in you a little bit when you sing.
But it's not like that. It's like you just hear the influence. And so that's which is funny because eventually I went on to do music full time for a while. And so
he's in this band, he's going and I don't know how to a little more secular of a way, I guess, is the way to put that.
I mean, and it absolutely was. Which is funny because I was also considered the Christian kid of the group.
Well, of the group, that wasn't. Mm-hmm. It's three guys, and that wasn't a big accomplishment between the other two. With the other
five.
Two, I didn't realize there was the other two. There was other people. Mm-hmm. But I was very much the Christian kid. I was very much known in my school as that, and we had kind of like both of us had decided when I think. Not in a conversation. It was separately. I think we kind of decided that once we started driving, we were not going to be around each other because we were going to have to ride with our parents to go to each other's houses or do anything like that. It was just going to be, I'd be able to do what I wanted to. Which is right around the time that we started getting a little bit, I guess, closer.
Well, it
Um,
was like a big turning point summer, for
yeah,
our relationship.
I was headed to my church was going to a youth camp, and I invited Buck to go with me. He initially was like turned me down. You did not want to go,
Hmm.
and I don't remember what I said.
There's a bit of a guilt thing in there, I think.
That, but eventually you were like you.
And to be totally honest, it was not because it was a Christian summer camp or anything like that. It was because it was summer camp.
It was because it was me.
No, it wasn't. I was not there. I like I knew we were drifting apart, and I knew that
I'm also older. Like,
yeah, like I mean, it was still going to be a year before I drove,
yeah,
and but like I never intended to not be friends with you. It just I assumed that we probably just wouldn't see each other quite as much, if that makes sense. And
we kind of were not as close at this point. It wasn't that I thought I don't want to be his friend. I just thought that that's how it would go. I thought even I remember even my mom saying the same thing. She was like, once they start driving, they're not going to be as close. They're probably not going to be friends. And I thought we would just kind of drift and go our own direction. Really, I guess kind of the same way that Patch has from us. Kind of gone his own direction. Much I know there's other things involved in that, but
well,
I think that's what I was.
I did him wrong. I don't think you know this. So when I got into high school, I straight up told him we're not going to be friends until we're not going to be friends in the same capacity until you are in high school. And I regret doing that so much because he
Wow.
went down a terrible, terrible road.
He was a year or 2 years younger than
It
you.
was a year young. It was like the same situation as us.
So he was 2 years 2 years younger than me. But I always liked Patch.
He he liked to get in. He always liked to get into trouble. But I remember
He was rambunctious.
I was in that band, and he was like, "Why are we not hanging out as much?" And I'm like, "I'm in a band. Um, I'm doing high school things. I just don't have the time. Maybe when you get in high school, we can figure this out." I remember saying that, and it was a stupid thing. I was a kid. Um, but I remember later in high school, I was like, I was totally wrong in that. And that's something I look back on as an adult, and I'm like, that's one of the like a huge regret that I have in my life that I was like, we're just not gonna
No,
be
I
friends
didn't know
anymore.
that. I did not know that. But there in this summer, we so you eventually
That was ninth grade.
we eventually decided eventually decided you'd go with me and my dad and our church to this camp, which we sang at.
Not that year.
Not that year, but like we did in the following years. Like
Yeah.
we did for a few years. We
We didn't know there was a talent show.
the first year, no, but we went, and that was a very big pivotal turning point for both for our friendship, because that was what solidified us and made us what we or was the basis of what we are today.
Yeah. It was a big
But it
turning
also was
point
a
in
big
my
turning
life
point
in
for
gen-
your life
in
personally.
general,
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
It was it's okay. I drank the Kool-Aid. No, I'm just kidding. So I was a believer already. I got saved when I was 6 years old, and got baptized when I was 7. And at the time, I was having a severe amount of doubt in my relationship with Jesus. I was doubting my salvation, because because I remember thinking salvation as a child. I thought the way you receive salvation was through baptism. And at that point in my life, I knew that wasn't true now, like at this age. So I was like, did I really ever give my life to Jesus? And it was kind of like this mentality of holding on to legalistic ideas. Like there has to be a crucial defining moment in your life where you like say, Jesus, save me, and that's how salvation happens, which there's no real indicator of that in scripture. Um like but these were the things that I thought. So I was having just a severe hard time. I was also not really focusing on my relationship with Jesus. Um like I never up until that point really knew what went into it the way that it should have. Like I knew I needed to read my Bible and stuff like that, but really like letting Christ be a huge like be the main focus in my life was not something I really understood in the same way. And I think that came with becoming a believer at such a young age, and it just took me a long time to mature. And or as my mother would say, mature. And but so big wake up call. I was essentially creating an idol out of the band that I was in. And we thought, and we sucked. We sucked so bad. We thought we were going to be famous. We had never played a real show. Like we had
Reckless
played like
Abandon.
that was the name of the band, Reckless Abandon. And it started out as No Destination. No Destination, which was a name I came up with, and it had no meaning. Sounds like it sounds like it's like an atheist band name, but it had no meaning. I just like, that sounds cool. It wasn't the first band name I ever came up with either. The first band name I came up with was 50 Foot Plunge.
I do remember that actually.
Yep. I made like in Microsoft Paint, I made posters of the band name and everything.
And what does that mean?
Who knows? It sounded cool.
Throw words together and see if it sounds cool.
Hey, that's what a lot of bands did at the time, man. Blink-182 means nothing. But so I realized, okay, I do have a musical talent, and I need to be using this for God's glory rather than for mine. And that was the journey that I went on with that. Would have been a decades long journey. Because to say it shortly, what I thought that meant was, okay, I'm not going to be a secular famous artist. I'm going to be a Christian famous artist. And I try to start pursuing it that way. You and I end up forming a band later on, writing songs. We're not really a band. We're just writing songs together, really.
Yeah.
We performed them a few times at like church and stuff like that.
We did.
But
the best kept secret.
Yeah. And and that goes on for a really long time in my mind. Like through college, I'm like, yeah, I'll start a band and do something. But then I start in college getting involved with worship music, and then I start to think over time, well, my end all be all job is going to be a full-time worship pastor or something like that. And I end up doing that. And at a really large church, and I was like, this is my final job. I will never have another job. Jack, I believed that at the time. I really did. And then 4 years later, God was like, hey, you quit this job. And I'm like, I've got nothing to go to. And I really feel, I don't like saying God told me this or putting words in God's mouth, but I really, through extensive prayer, believe that he was leading me to make these decisions. And so all that rooted in a single week of summer camp at where the Christian teachers brainwashed me into being an evangelical fundamentalist Christian.
Literally,
and
they cut your scalp off and they take your brain out and scrub it with some cheer and on. And
I was never one to give into. I was never one to give into the emotion of those situations. I remember it really clearly. It was like I mean, you remember the conversation we had that night. It was like I don't think it was the last night, but it was the
On the
night
bunk
before
bed,
the last
right,
night. Yeah. Well, we talked with your dad too.
Yeah. And even he was sitting at that desk in front of like a window, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And we were, yeah, I remember that very well.
I just remember the surreal feeling like you're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And you're not giving the attention of the things that you're supposed to be giving attention to. And then I don't know what happened, but that made you and I, like, that experience together made you and I be like, hey, we just gravitated towards each other.
Yeah.
And it was almost like the things that we went through that had caused adversity between the two of us became a thing, an obstacle that we overcame.
Yeah.
To become stronger friends. I really do think that I'm not one to think that every relationship in my life is a God ordained thing. Like, and what I mean by that is God put this person in your life so you be friends with them or you be close to them or whatever. I know a lot of people think that, but I think ultimately God is like, hey, the friendships that you have, the relationships that you have, glorify me with them. However, I do think that the way that things happen, the relationship that you and I have, was absolutely a God ordained relationship.
I agree with that. We've always kind of said that.
Yeah. And because the odds were against our relationship surviving. And I don't think either one of us cared if it really did. I think you were kind of more of in a fed up place than I was, but I wasn't going to grieve it if we just drifted totally apart. And so that was my side of that experience.
Yeah. But and we won't get into all of this, but you kind of said something. You talked about the things that did tear us apart. And there was a point in our relationship that things that we had gone through that Buck blamed me for, which they were my fault, but that I didn't know he held that as a grudge against me during some of that time. And didn't even realize that was still affecting him mentally. And so I think that, I've never really pieced it together, but maybe that trip is what did kind of help wash that away or make you realize that those things were not necessarily you see what I'm saying? Because now we had this other thing to cling to.
Well, we had grown up a lot. We weren't the same people. And I think we also became, I feel like you were not the same either after that trip. Not exactly. And it might have just been the way you were with me. I'm not saying like your personality changed or anything like that, but it felt like a tether was locked into place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we weren't brothers until that point.
Yeah.
And
I thought you only wanted cousins. To be. So you were talking about how you, which is fine. This is my best friend. This is my friend. This is my friend Buck. No, we're cousins. Yep. That was a thing that used to happen when we were little. But we were not that close. That trip did kind of solidify that. And I don't even remember what I was going to say about that other than that. It's funny that you talked about always trying to befriend the popular kids, even though you might not have necessarily realized that was what was happening or whatever. I, at that point, thought that you just wanted to be popular.
I didn't really have a desire to be.
Even because, and I think some of that is because some of the remarks like your mom had made, like, don't bring him back wanting to be a preacher. She was wanting you to be able to play both types of music. And you were like, no, I'm not going to do that. And she had said that to my dad. Don't bring him back wanting to be a preacher. And I remember her wanting you, and I always felt like with your sister, she wanted her to be popular. And so it kind of felt like that a little bit, at least from my perspective. And
I mean, I don't know what my sister felt. I never felt a push for popularity.
But you can see why.
But I did feel a push of not missing out
Yeah.
on things. And like senior trip, I didn't want to go, but they were like, "You don't want to miss out on your senior trip."
Your
I wish I
parents
didn't
or
go. Yeah, I wish I didn't go. I don't think they realized what went on in senior trips.
Hmm.
Um,
I didn't go.
and like, and I
Mom.
mean, I mean, I would straight up say what I struggle with. Like, I mean, we bought beads and we got girls to flash us, and I was doing good at this time, but it was a temptation that I gave into. I wasn't
Sure.
sleeping with girls down there, but I remember at some point I was like, "What am I doing?" Like, and I essentially just stopped hanging out with the rest of the guys. Um, at some point in that trip, and
I think I tried to talk you out of going on that
you
trip.
did, you did. I was listening to you. Um, and they're like, you're going to regret it if you don't go. And I regret going. I wish I had not gone.
Have you told them that? Have you ever told them that?
They
since
may
then?
not remember. I think I have, but so they know about the guitar picture too.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
They
because
also
I
know
think
about the time
because
I
I think
blew a
it's
dart
funny.
in your face, but whatever.
Yeah, that was just that was a knee jerk reaction out of fear, like that, because it could have been so much worse.
We used to go, our dads took us to hunting shows, and we both got these little dart guns. And
Guns, yeah.
yeah, and like your little blow guns, and you blew little darts. Well, Buck had his like behind his door, propped up, and I found it, and I've been playing with it, like I was blowing through it and everything, and so I thought this thing was empty, and he walks through the door, and I went and blew it at his face, thinking it was empty because I had been blowing in it and nothing had happened, and that dart went right into his cheek, just hung there for a second.
Yep.
And
I was
like, oh my gosh, I'm
partially in
sorry.
shock. Well,
I was too.
I think you were more in shock than anything, because I don't even think you said I'm sorry at the beginning. I think you were just like, you like didn't know what happened, and then immediately I walk out of the room and I tell mom, and she obviously freaks out about it. But I don't think I went in there to tell on you either. I think I went in there because I was like, I need to tell an adult, because you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, I was in shock. Like, because that was like almost like one of the closest calls that ever happened for me.
It was in his cheek. It wasn't like it was
in
near
my
his
jaw,
eye.
like right here.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't in a vital place, and it didn't even
No, and
leave much
even-
of a mark.
Even if it did,
'Cause I didn't blow it
didn't
that
hurt.
hard.
It didn't
I didn't
hurt.
even blow it that hard enough to it didn't go through. It
No,
just
it's-
kind of
well,
pierced and then hung there
it
for
made
a
little
second.
sore. It made a
Yeah,
little sore,
but like it
nothing-
pierced and then like fell off, I think.
Yeah, it dangled. It dangled there. I pulled it out.
Pulled it. I mean, I knew it hung for a second, but couldn't remember if you pulled
But
it
it
or
was
if
just it was just like a little pinprick sore. Like
Yeah.
and I think it was totally fine in a few days. But it was more like, oh God, that could have hit me in the throat, the ear, the eye. And
I mean, the eye would have
just-
been more worried about than the throat. I mean, you would have had to I would have had to really
they
blow
had
that
to get
thing
through
really
muscle,
hard.
or unless they hit the carotid or something.
But I wasn't. It was not like I aimed it or anything. It was.
No,
it was
no.
really just a freak moment. But yeah.
again, like I don't think like it
we
wasn't.
have a lot of memories together
Yeah, it
because we
wasn't
have
like
done life really together to
like,
the point where
I know we bring that story up a lot, but I don't think that my intent was like to get Jack in trouble. Like
he
I think
says
it was
that
just
now.
no. I'm a serious. Like I think it was just like, oh God, that freaked me out, and I needed to tell an adult or something like that. I mean, we were still really young then too. I was like in 5th grade when that happened.
We've done life so much together that we've been the best men in each other's weddings. You know, we've been at each other's the birth of my children. Well, not all of them,
Adopted mine, but
yeah, and you adopted yours, but I was there when she was having surgery. I can't imagine not, because now not every time, obviously.
the only
but
one for you that I was only able to be there for the middle.
you came
you.
for my first one.
You had him up in.
No, we had him in Greenville. Wait, we had him here, and you came.
No, you're right. 2 different hospitals.
Yeah,
I remember.
to 2 different hospitals.
I think I was mixing up a different hospital visit.
Maybe, but you
Whenever,
were not.
Jill,
you were
Jill
not
was
at
having
my,
the issues.
You weren't at Arley's because we were living in a
Different location.
like
But
4
for some
hours
reason,
away.
I think because not long after your first kid's birth, that's when Jill started having all those medical issues.
She was septic.
And I think that's why I was mixing those
Or
up.
are you meaning in 2016 when she was hospitalized for having
Probably all of the
her
above.
big vitamin deficiency, which
Is that what it ended up being? A vitamin deficiency?
she has a very severe like vitamin deficiency, and her body apparently does not make like enough vitamins.
So so I didn't know an actual diagnosis got made,
That's the closest that they've come.
because they were going through some wild crap with that tropical sprue. I
Yeah,
remember
but
that.
whenever she, which is funny because I thought they were saying at first, I thought they said tropical screw, and I thought that sounded like a naughty film, but tropical or
maybe
a
it
drink a tropical.
Yeah.
Can I get a tropical screw? But a tropical sprue, they did throw that one around.
Screwdriver.
And it is still possible that she maybe, because we had gone to out of the country on a mission trip not long too long before, or back in Venezuela early on in our marriage, and they're saying that she could have had a parasite from that she had from all that time, and they're still saying that she possibly could have a parasite. But what it seemed to be is her body is very bad at making vitamins like potassium and everything, to where she has to have she hasn't in a while, but she has to have shots, and she
Eat a
still
lot of
has
bananas and stuff.
she still has some of those issues that she had that put her in the hospital. They're just not as severe. She'll tell me, I'm experiencing this or I'm experiencing that, and I'll know what it is.
Anyways, back in.
But now, so we've been. I was when Buck proposed to his wife, Jill and I were there. We've done everything. We've moved and been states apart.
Yep.
And it's funny because we had a good chunk of time where we were nowhere near each other, but we talked to each other. I still have people being like, if I run into people from college, so we ended up going to the same college, and people knew we were best friends and everything, but I still have people like, do you ever still talk to Buck? And I'm like, every day.
Yeah.
Like we talk like every day. But
we
now
don't
it's
see
funny.
each other every day, but we
do talk.
yeah.
At least, and if we don't, it feels like if we go like a couple days without talking, one of us will be
Yeah.
like, I hadn't talked to you. What's going on?
Which I was feeling that way today.
I was too. But and I know a lot of times it's because one of us gets busy.
Yeah.
But it's funny
And
because
I
now
think sometimes it's like we don't necessarily even want to talk, but like it feels weird when we don't. And it's not because we don't want to like talk to each other, but more so we don't want to talk at all.
we just got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And we'll shoot each other a text at the very least.
Or
But
Marco Polo.
or Marco Polo, we will have some kind of a brief, just been like checking in or whatever. But I do find it funny that our grandfathers were best friends, and I think this kind of goes in for talking about how this was years in the making, and it does feel like it was God ordained because our grandfathers, who were brothers, were best friends, and then our moms, who were first cousins, were best friends, and then we became best friends, and now
Our dads.
and then our dads became best friends. We became best friends, and now our daughters consider each other best friends, and they don't even get to see each other that much. I mean, now Bunny she's got a best friend at school that she talks about, and she's got one at church. But she always, if you ask her who her best friend is, she might name one of them, but she will always name your daughter as well.
Yeah.
And
Mine will name yours as well.
And so I think it's just it's been passed down through the line. And I had told you, I don't know if you remember this, but years ago, I told you, I said, well, our grandfathers were best friends, our moms were best friends, and we're best friends. And it went guy, girl, guy. So we have to have daughters that are best friends. Do you remember this?
I was convinced we were going to have sons, though. But that was also when I thought I was going to have a biological child. And yeah, it's crazy. And I think the only thing that we haven't done that at one point we thought we would do is like careers together.
Yeah. I think that's for the best.
Yeah. Well, I think
we worked together, but not.
Yeah,
we had a job in college together.
We both have we're both very personally driven, like with it, like from like we're very strongly opinionated. We believe our way of doing things is the right way of doing things, and I don't like people telling me what to do.
Yeah.
And like if I don't feel like they have authority over me. And so I'm with, especially like if you were in that position, like where you were like an authoritative figure over me, I think it would cause a lot of conflict.
In the way that things are, I would be, and I like I don't like having people tell me what to do, so I like being the one to make the decisions and all that kind of stuff.
And very I think our work relationship as an adult, I'm realizing it was all about being more of a collaborative thing rather than.
Well, one other thing we didn't really do, and we could have, we did, I guess you could say we did briefly, was live together.
Yeah. Yeah. For a few weeks.
And then that fell apart.
Well, it didn't fall apart. We argued over a book. One class. But that was really more about a scheduling thing. We decided to share a textbook for the same class that we were having. You had to go do something, and then I had to go do something. And because I had to go do something, I had to take the book. And since the book was technically mine because I paid for it, I was like, I got to
pay for half of it.
Yeah. But
the thing was, I was going to pay for half of it, and I don't even remember.
I was just being stupid. But that's not why we didn't. I don't
remember. I don't remember what I had to go do. But it wasn't a major thing. I don't believe. I remember you were going home. You
went home. You went home to your parents' house, which was about an hour away, and then our
parents' house at the time was not that far from each other. We literally could have met in the middle, and it would have been.
Our parents' house were like 35 minutes away from each other.
Right. We could have probably been driven 15 minutes each and handed the book off, and it could have been.
Well, but you were coming back. You were coming back.
It was over the weekend, so I think there was church and stuff like that involved.
And it was all about studying for a test.
Yeah.
But we ended up making it work. That had nothing to do with why we stopped staying in the house. That was just one of the five. We were over that in like a couple of days. But honestly, I think we were over it the next day because we ended up studying in the house. We ended up studying together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you staying in the house wasn't planned. That just happened. That just kind of happened. after that. It wasn't like
Yeah.
it was not the plan for us to live in that house. I think maybe you had it in your head.
I think I had talked to my parents about possibly being able to stay
Yeah.
in the house, and they allowed me to because it was closer to
I mean,
our.
but let's face it, I was
close to our
staying. I was
college.
staying at that house 4 out of 5 days of the week. 4 out of
I
7
mean,
days of the week.
I mean, we got a bed for you too. So we had
Is that why you got
put
that
in
bed?
there.
I thought that was just there for.
They had
And I
bought
just
it.
use it.
No, I think they had bought it. I don't know if it was specifically for you, but I know that it kind of ended up becoming your bed. I remember it was at a church yard sale, and somebody had it there, and it was set up. And I think even the rug that was under it, and my parents were like, "What do you think?" Because I already had a bed over there. And I was like, yeah, let's get it. And so they got it and carried it and put it up over there, and it became your bed. I had I stayed in the master bedroom of that house. So the house we're talking about, my parents owned the house, but they
Moved.
moved. They didn't buy
Own
the
house.
Yeah, they still own that house. They didn't own the house that they lived in. It was given to them by my dad's job. And so they still own this other house. It was closer to where we went to college, and so they allowed us to, they allowed me to stay there. And
And again, even after that, I was there like.
I remember too many nights where we would be standing outside just talking, and you'd be like, and I'd be like, well, you might as well stay.
You know, point. I had my own
I didn't
towel.
bring my toothbrush. I don't
Had
have
my own towel. Had my own towel at the at the
I think
house.
eventually you must have gotten a toothbrush because you're like, I don't have
think
my
I
own
did.
toothbrush. I don't have a change of clothes. And then we just ended up, you left change of clothes there and everything. But
But I will say this. At a certain point, that house really started to creep me the F out.
yeah, it got creepy.
It was all because of one night.
The phone.
God, that was so weird.
Is it The Night Caller? Is that the name of that episode? I gotta look it up.
The Night Caller.
From The Twilight Zone.
Oh,
Yes. So The Twilight Zone had an episode called Night Call. And it creeped me out. And I remember it at this point when I was staying there by myself. A lot of times I would eat a Hungry Man meal, went to bed still hungry because I don't know who told them that would fill up a Hungry Man, but it will not. I was also emaciated because I was studying theater. If you remember how skinny I was. And I'd watch an episode of The Twilight Zone while I ate my Hungry Man meal, go brush my teeth, take my shower, whatever I was going to do, and go to bed. So skinny that I started putting the pillow long ways under me so my ribs would not dig into the bed.
it wasn't the most comfortable bed though.
Do what?
It wasn't the most comfortable
yeah.
bed.
But there's that episode where this woman gets, if you've never watched it, spoiler alert, but she gets a call from beyond the grave. That was like her lover years ago and all this kind of stuff. And it's just kind of creepy. I remember that one stuck with me. So in this house, we still had landline. There was a yellow phone and who's yellow?
Was it? I thought it was like an olive green.
It was like that old fashioned yellow color. And
It was an old phone, no matter. Yeah,
It was in the. There was one in the living room, and there was a phone in the bedroom.
The one in the living room was the phone that you had in your room growing up.
It was a spaceship.
Yeah, black.
Yep. So the
It was a
spaceship phone.
spaceship. I don't think I ever put that together. But looking back on it, I'm like, how did I not put that together? It clearly looked like a spaceship.
It was
I
a
thought
spaceship
it was supposed to
phone.
be a cool shaped phone.
But then the yellow phone was in the bedroom, and I remember you calling your mom, or she called.
Yeah. Well, let's preface it too. We had just gone to see a scary movie that night too.
I didn't even remember that. What did we see?
The Grudge 2, which
that was that
looking
night.
back on it is not really the scariest movie. I think the first Grudge is way scarier of a movie, but it
Set
had
the mood.
yeah, it had like really scary elements in it. But when you look at it, like this is how this person died, that's dumb. But the whole like back of the mouth gurgle grunt
Yeah.
sound and that kind of stuff. So we were kind of like on edge
But-
anyway.
So Buck calls his mom, or she calls the house. I think she calls the house looking for you
Yep.
specifically and you answered the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to her for a little bit, hang up. And this is in the living room. So this is on the little spaceship, the little black spaceship phone.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting there talking for a few minutes, and all of a sudden we hear, bum, 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 bum. And if you don't know, if we have younger
Oh
listeners,
wow, yeah, that's
that
weird.
meant that there was a phone off the hook.
Yeah, it's
in
a
the
busy
house.
signal.
It's a
That's what it
busy
was
signal.
called.
And so we looked
Well,
at each
and
other.
you're like, it's probably that phone in the back bedroom. Sometimes it doesn't
hang up
like
good.
hang up well. We go back there. That phone is off of
Off
the hook on the
laying
floor,
off the hook.
and
And the window was down a little bit. Do you remember that?
yeah, but not enough for anybody to really get in the house.
And
Like-
no, unless they were trying to push it back close.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that that's what happened by any means, because
But,
I think also the phone, if you left it off the hook for so long, it
yeah,
could,
that's our theory. Our theory, because we had spent the night in that house the night before. There was only one bed. We grew up sleeping in the same bed whenever we would do sleepover, so we slept in the same bed that night.
so that's before getting that other
And
bit.
yeah, getting that other one, and it may have been that one of us knocked the phone off of the hook.
We may
whenever
have
we
set
got
it
up.
off the hook. We may have set it off the hook for, so nobody would disturb us or something too.
But
to
I've
get
also
calls.
never been able to verify that if it was off the hook for so long that it would just kind of reset the signal.
Yeah.
But the theory is that it was off the hook for so long that it kind of acted as if it were hung up, and when my mom called the house, it then reset the.
But the window was cracked, and I don't know. I could not explain that.
But so yeah, many nights being like something creepy going to walk into this room. At that point, after that point, I think I eventually got over that, but because we ended up started like more stuff got put in the house, and it made it feel a lot more homey.
Yeah,
Because it was also really empty at that
I
point.
started buying more furniture to put in there.
Yeah, and
But we do. We have a lot of stories, and things that I'm sure will come out over time as things that we just don't need to get into, like him cleaning out my throw up.
we to tell you the truth, we didn't plan on this whole thing essentially being a whole podcast episode.
yeah.
This was supposed to be a small segment of something else.
Yep.
But now I think this is just going to have to be a full podcast episode.
Yep.
And so yeah, that's all the way up to college. And so I mean, it's been almost 40 years of friendship, and yeah,
Yep.
wild.
Yep.
It's just wild.
Well,
I guess I think that gets us to at least how we became friends.
how we
Sorry.
became friends. We were born that way. It's
Yeah.
just, it's been a lifetime. There was no becoming of friends. It started with a kissing as babies.
It started with a kiss as babies. No, but all right. Well, we'll keep the other ones for other times, the other stories.
Yeah.
But
When they're more relevant, I guess.
yeah.
But
All
until then, I love you, Buck.
Oh God. I think I'm always gonna dread this part of the episode.
Because you dread leaving me.
I just think your lack of hospitality is terrible.
Oh no. I'll let you come in here, and
Oh,
then
no.
when it's time to go, it's time to go.
No, Southern hospitality is like, well, it's getting late.
It's
No.
getting sure as late, ain't it?
This man, you
But I've always been
you're
more
probably
blunt
tired, aren't you?
I guess I'll let you go. I've been held you here long enough.
Down and down the rabbit hole.